The midterm elections are just about 2 months away, and across the nation, offices like secretaries of state and local elections offices are preparing for the ballots. The problem is they may be bogged down by unexpected requests. So why is this happening? Amy Gardner from the Washington Post joins me. She reported on this today. Amy, let's discuss this. We know that we've seen this increased focus on Secretary of State's offices across the country. We've seen the focus on local elections offices. They are encountering some, as you said, unexpected difficulties. Talk about that for a moment.
What we've learned from talking to election officers in states across the country, both at the state and local level, is that they have been inundated with public records requests from thousands of individuals. And when we dug a little deeper, we learned that many of these individuals are following the call of national election denying leaders, people like Mike Lindell, the CEO of MyPillow, who's been a big champion of false claims that the 2020 election was stolen, and other leaders of this movement. While many of these election officials are really, they take care to make the point that they believe in transparency, they believe in the public records laws of their states, this avalanche of public records requests feels like it's intended to cause harm to the operation of their offices as they prepare for this momentous midterm election cycle that we're heading into this fall.
When you talk about the records requests, what sort of information are they seeking?
So it's a lot of, technical terms, and what a lot of them are asking for is something called a cast vote record, which is a record that shows how an individual voted across the ballot. A ballot itself is a cast vote record. So in states where ballots are public, they're asking for copies or the right to inspect the originals of ballots. But voting machines in many states also produce a report that shows the cast vote records of individuals, not with any identifying information, because that's not allowed to be released. But if you think about the kinds of academic analysis that academic people do of election results, like how they know when there's a lot of split ticket voting, where somebody votes for a Republican up the ballot and a Democrat at the bottom of the ballot, they know that by looking at the cast vote record reports. And so that's one of the things that these folks are asking for, but a lot of them don't even know what it is. So when they're asked to be more specific about what they're looking for, they will say, well, I don't know. I just told you what I was told to ask you for. And the other thing that's happening is that a lot of these offices are getting, individual offices are getting dozens of identical or nearly identical requests. And that's one of the sort of features of this barrage that some of these election officials say shows it's not really about getting the information, because the process of responding to these requests is taking up so much time that it's making it difficult for them to get their absentee ballots and military ballots out in the mail, and to make sure that all of their polling locations are set, and that hiring the poll workers that need to be hired at a time when record numbers of election officials don't want to do this work anymore because of the hostile environment that they're in. So it's a lot of pressure at a very high pressure time already.
From the people you've spoken to so far, and you're right, we've seen this politicization, which may not necessarily be the correct word, but it certainly, we've seen this emphasis on these offices who oversee the elections, and in many states they are on the ballot themselves, where you vote for your Secretary of State. What do they believe? Do they believe that there is an end game here? Do they believe that is just to slow down the process, and then when election day rolls around and they're not prepared, they can say, look, these election officers weren't prepared, they can't do their jobs?
So actually several election officials said that they viewed this whole campaign as a denial of service attack, which is a term that's used in, computer technology arenas to describe an intentional shutdown of a system by inundating it with computer attacks. And so what they mean when they say that is that they believe that the inundation of public records requests is intended to shut down their other business of getting ready for the election, and that in turn is going to provide further grist to those who are listening for it that there's something wrong with our elections in this country. So it's sort of perpetuating the narrative that our elections are not secure and are not well run.
As journalists, we have filed freedom of information requests countless times. This is something that is in place for the public to get information that is part of the government record. This is not something that is illegal. This is something the law calls for. But what I get the sense of is some people believe the process itself that is established for a reason is being abused.
And, one way that you could look at it is that the integrity of our elections can be undermined through legal means. I mean, laws were broken on January 6th, 2021, obviously, and that was a protest against the results of the previous fall, was a huge example of the fallout of these false claims and unproven claims of widespread fraud. But this is an example of using a legal tool that's a fundamental pillar of our democracy, potentially to do damage to public opinion about election integrity.
The piece is in today's Washington Post. Amy Gardner in the newsroom from the Washington Post. Thank you so much for the insight tonight. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks.
And the Final Five is back right after this.